Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy DeYoung in Jerusalem, Israel, with Prophecy Today video. The latest earthquake off the coast of Japan not only caused death and destruction, mass death and destruction, but it's a tangible evidence that we are coming close to the end-time scenario that is found in Bible prophecy. Reports are still coming in. They're going to continue to come in about the amount of death and destruction that has happened in that part of the world. It's an unbelievable thing that's unfolding. Catastrophic, they have used that terminology in the reports. I've been here in Jerusalem. I've been watching on CNN, on Fox News, on the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, all the reports coming in. You, like me, probably have just been in awe of the terrible destruction, watching that tsunami move across the coast there of Japan and then inland, amazingly destroying everything in its path. Somebody said the actual tsunami itself rising up 20 feet or higher as far as the wave is concerned, moving at about 500 miles an hour. This is awesome destruction that is happening. And, everybody's rushing. We've talked with our broadcast partners on our weekend program to deal with other issues, but everyone has talked about how the world is reaching to the aid of all of the people, especially in Japan, but in other locations in the South Pacific as well. Well, this most recent earthquake in Japan is basically the greatest earthquake that ever has hit Japan in all of history, and the seventh most powerful earthquake ever in the world recorded in the history books that keep track of this type of thing. Do you know the word earthquake is used 19 times in the Bible? It's used 13 times in the prophetic passages of the Word of God. Earthquakes will play a key role in the end-time events that are going to unfold. For example, when Jesus Christ on the Mount of Olives, and I can see it from where I am seated here doing this broadcast today, when he went with his disciples there, after coming off the Temple Mount, crossing the Kidron Valley, going up onto the Mount of Olives, sitting down, that's the custom of a rabbinical teacher, and there he was asked some questions. One of the questions was, can you give us some signs of what it's going to be like when you will come back and when you will set up your kingdom? Now, what Jesus did was then explain, and it's referred to as the Olivet Discourse. It is the most profound prophetic message ever given on the face of the earth, a message that was preached by Jesus Christ himself right here on the Mount of Olives, where I am sitting and broadcasting out from here to you around the world on Prophecy Today as we take a look at the book. He spoke up that day. He gave them a very important evidence of what it would be like when he would come back to the earth. And one of the things he said, there will be earthquakes in many different locations. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 7. He talked about deception in verses 4, 5, 11, and 24, and using signs, wonders, and miracles to deceive the world. Then in chapter 24, verse 6, he talked about wars and rumors of wars, moving into verse 7, nation against nation, kingdom against big kingdom. But he brought to the attention of those seated there, earthquakes in divers places, the King James Bible says, would happen, and they would completely be devastating around the world. They have been watching and making records of earthquakes over the years. I read somewhere the other day that from about 400 years A.D., that's about, something like 350 years after Jesus Christ left the earth going back into the heavenlies, they started recording earthquakes. I think from that time until 1917 or somewhere around there, they recorded about something like 400 earthquakes, of major earthquakes we're talking about, not the little tremors that happen all over the world all the time. Now they're saying that they have that many almost in one day, and they have major earthquakes, a number of them every year, and those are increasing like they never have before. I think we need to pay attention to what Jesus Christ had to say when he said there will be earthquakes in divers places. In the prophetic book of Revelation, for example, the word earthquake is used 7 times between Revelation chapter 6 and Revelation chapter 16. The great earthquake in Revelation 6:12 is the sixth seal judgment. Other things will have happened, but indeed paralleling what Jesus said in the Olivet Discourse, because you look at Matthew 24 and compare it to Revelation, Jesus basically said everything that he was going to have John the Revelator write down in the book of Revelation, and that sixth seal judgment, earthquakes on the earth. That's chapter 6 and verse 12, the sixth seal judgment. By the way, that does happen in the first half of the tribulation period, but at the midway point, as you go through and come up to the end of the first half of the tribulation, there's going to be a number of earthquakes that will take place, and that's brought out as you look at Revelation chapter 8 and verse 5, chapter 11, verses 13 and 19. So this is the midway point. You start with earthquakes in the beginning of the tribulation period. Midway through the tribulation, they start to increase. But I've got to tell you, the greatest earthquake to ever hit the earth will happen at the end of the tribulation period when Babylon, now that's modern-day Iraq, but Babylon will be the location where the Antichrist will be operating out of, a worldwide economic, political, governmental system set up the Antichrist rules over. Economics will be the feature that he controls the world with. He'll make everybody take a mark, an identification mark of some type in the forehead, the back of the hand, to be able to buy and sell, and the merchants headquartered in Babylon will wax rich with all of this merchandising that they do. But then in chapter 16, verse 17 and following, it talks about a terrible time of destruction for Babylon, the headquarters for the Antichrist. The greatest earthquake to ever hit the face of the earth will happen and destroy the Antichrist headquarters in all of his operation in the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. By the way, that's the thing that happens the last of the 7 years just prior to Jesus Christ coming back to the earth. That would be the second coming of Jesus Christ when he comes back. After chapter 18, the destruction in 1 hour of Babylon, he steps down right here on the Mount of Olives where I'm seated and broadcasting to you right this moment. He comes back to the earth. Hey, this earthquake is taking place in Japan. Only evidence the Bible prophecy is going to be fulfilled. And the next event, before all of that unfolds, the next event, the rapture of the church, which could happen at any moment. Having said that, nothing left for me to say, except let's keep looking up until...